to see something cool?
Rand, I need another episode of Fully Cinematic.
Animated Hollywood has given us lots of felines over the years who achieved varying levels of popularity and box office success, and now there's a new cat in town, and he's not even American. So take a trip across the pond with me as I take a look at the Amazing Maurice. Like many fairy tales, this one begins inside of a book. Our narrator, Melissa Grimm, fakes us out with the opening lines of Mr. Bunsey has an adventure before explaining that her intro is a framing device. The real story starts with an orange and white talking cat, Maurice himself, explaining how bad the rat infestation is in a small village before offering a solution to the residents. The legendary Pied Piper can hypnotize the rodents and lead them out of town. The notorious flautist himself appears right on cue, playing a tune which immediately entrances the vermin, who follow him to the bank of a stream and throw themselves in as the villagers applaud. At which time it's revealed that this is all a con, and Maurice, his friend Keith impersonating the Piper, and the rats who can talk are all in cahoots. The latter group's leader, Dark Tan, understandably complains that jumping into the water wasn't part of the script. But Maurice quells a potential mutiny by reminding the furballs about Bunsey's book, which the rats believe is a historical chronicle of an animal utopia, to which he can guide them, providing they earn enough money for a boat. Melissa interrupts to explain that Maurice has been lying his ass off about the book and knows full well that it's complete fiction. He simply wants to build up a sizable nest egg and sees the rat catching scam as the quickest way to achieve his goal. Cut to a pair of human rat catchers meeting with the mayor of the nearby town, Bad Blintz, in order to negotiate their fee for solving the city's infestation. When the civic leader questions their efficiency, the duo's boss shows up and intimidates him into anteing up. Meanwhile, Maurice's rats travel by sewer to Blintz as Keith and Maurice stroll through the curiously empty streets. After encountering a grocer with no inventory left but a single onion, which mysteriously vanishes. Following Maurice's lead, the hungry pair finds a large kitchen which is totally devoid of food. And who do they meet? Our bookworm of a narrator, Melissa, who happens to be the mayor's daughter, and quickly deduces their hustle after catching Maurice talking and being cordial to one of the rats, the tap dance loving Sardines. Sardines then explains that the rats developed the ability to speak as a result of them eating in a dump full of the discards from a magic university, which increased each of their IQs. Consequently, they each took their names from the items that they consumed. Under the city, Dark Tan notices that despite all of the telltale signs, the town seems to be suspiciously without rats. Nevertheless, he dispatches the troops to carry out various assignments throughout the city. Melissa determines to solve the mystery of the missing rats, while the rat catcher's boss senses the presence of the new vermin in the community and sends his minions after him. Dark Tan, Peaches, and Dangerous Beans discover a room full of mousetraps after DT is accidentally knocked into one by the group's mechanical rat, Mr. Clicky. Meanwhile, Maurice tries to explain to Melissa that life isn't a story, but to no avail. However, the trio eventually stumbles upon a trap door in the rat catcher's headquarters, which leads to a well-hidden storage room filled with the food stolen from the citizenry. As they chow down, Peaches and the others arrive to inform them of the existence of the traps, at which time the exterminators show up and Maurice takes over narrating duties, pointing out that it is his story after all. While the new narrator escapes, the others are captured, but Maurice returns later that night to be of no use at all. Dark Tan actually frees himself and the others, while Maurice runs his yap about a death pit he once encountered, where humans set dogs on rodents in an enclosed ring. When Dangerous Beans and Peaches free Melissa, she inadvertently dashes their hopes by revealing that Mr. Bunsey's adventure never actually took place and that his town never existed. Peaches runs off heartbroken and is subsequently kidnapped by unseen assailants in the sewer. Keith and Melissa then confront the catchers, revealing that they poisoned their food. In exchange for the antidote, they explain that they accidentally created a rat king after leaving a group of the creatures in a bucket, after which they join tails and gain magic powers, including mind control. By the way, both the poison and the antidote turn out to be laxatives. While Melissa convinces Keith to accompany her to the dark wood in search of the real Pied Piper's flute, Maurice washes his hands of the entire ordeal and skips town with the dough. Elsewhere, the rodents track down the death pit that Sardines has been taken to, And when he's pitted against a dog for the entertainment of gambling humans, Dark Tan drops into the pit from above, while the others lift sardines to safety by cable. Dark Tan single-handedly defeats the champion Pooch, Brute the Cute, and evades the people, inciting a brawl amongst them in the process. Deep in the woods, Keith plays a tune while Melissa flirts with him and explains that they'd be perfect for each other if he already had a girlfriend. That's that boy. They eventually stumble across the genuine Piper preparing dinner at his home in the clearing. Concurrently, Dangerous Beans follows the telepathic summons of the Rat King to the mayor's office, where he attempts to recruit him to his cause, reasoning that his vast intellect would make him a valuable ally. As the king details his plans for Ratkind to dominate humanity, Maurice appears, attacking the king and rescuing both DB and Peaches by jumping out of a window with them. Keith and Melissa resolve to steal the Piper's flute, sneaking into his cabin and finding him asleep. Unfortunately, he wakes up and knocks Keith out before playing them to his outdoor oven. During the forced hypnotic death march, Melissa shoots her shot again, prompting Keith to admit that he largely finds her annoying. But saving them both, Mr. Clicky causes the Piper to fall down his own well. Back in the sewer, Maurice confesses that he obtained his increased IQ by eating one of their compatriots' additives. He's since sworn off consuming anything that has the ability to speak. As the group attempts to run away, the king blocks them at the entrance to the town, drawing all but Peaches and Dangerous Beans into his hive via hypnosis. Maurice, who's immune, hauls ass and runs into Keith and Melissa in the forest. When they return to town, Keith plays the Piper's flute in an unsuccessful attempt to counteract the king's spell. The latter also smacks Melissa into the woods. After an encouraging word from her, Keith manages to disperse all but the original rodent collective with a song. But the much smaller hive is still able to deal a death blow to DB via telekinesis. With his dying words, he encourages Maurice to embrace his instincts, prompting Maury to eat the collective, which kills him. In the afterlife, he meets two Grim Reapers, one for rats and the Reaper, who accepts his offer of two of his remaining lives, one for himself and one for Dangerous Beans. Back in the land of the living, DB and Maurice are resurrected. Keith gives Melissa consent to kiss him, and Maurice purrs. The mayor's daughter informs us that he and the rats of Nim then go on to live in harmony with the residents of Bad Blintz, where Keith gives daily flute performances. But Maurice manages to get the last word. Who would have thought that the first animated movie out of the gate for the year would actually be good? And it wouldn't have anything to do with Disney, or even Illumination. There are striking similarities between The Amazing Maurice and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, given that each features an orange cat who comes to an understanding with the Avatar of Death during the story's climax. This British-German collaboration also features meta references, and like the Shrek-verse movies to which the fencing feline belongs, it features plenty of humor, action, and commentary on well-known fairy tale elements, but goes the extra mile by commenting on storytelling itself. However, Maurice is heads and tails above Puss every day of the week. Check it out and show it to the kiddos immediately. Or you can watch this.
I am Puss in Boots.
Nope. In other news, it's time to spotlight some comments from other videos. After watching the Top Gun Maverick review, the expert 843 said, "Love the buzzers. I really like Maverick and think it was a movie we didn't know we needed. A better experience than Tron Legacy." I couldn't have said it better myself, expert. In response to what she saw in the same review, Lana Danielle said, "Ha ha ha, not the buzzer." Well, he very much deserved the buzzer, Lana. Shout out to the expert 843 and Lana Danielle for dropping comments. And shout out to everybody who hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. But I had enough of this conversation, so I'm logging off.
Fully cinematic.